at you all the way from our dorm rooms to your conference rooms. Sabah and Dan Teeman here, two college students who are ready to talk to you guys about business and lifestyle from our personal experiences.
Each week we'll discuss about our lifestyle as college students as well as our tips and strategies starting in the business field. We'll bring on successful entrepreneurs in the millennial generation to share with us their journey and how they got started and where they're at now.
Our goal is to help you students, millennials, and entrepreneurs gain inspirational advice by our spontaneous conversations and meaningful guidance. Let's dive on in.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 4 of Dorm Rooms Conference Rooms Podcast. Sabah, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Today we're going to be talking about taking action on your ideas. So one of our ideas was to actually start this podcast, and I'm happy we did because it's 25 degrees outside and it makes me really happy that I can work from my house sometimes. So Sabah, what actions have you taken on your ideas?
Yeah, so I've had, just throughout my whole life, I've had so many ideas where I thought about them and then they just kind of went to the side. But then just recently and just being in college and stuff, I've kind of learned how you really need to act on your ideas in order for them to actually become successful outcomes. So like for me, I've had the idea for a very, very, very long time of starting my own like clothing store. So ever since I was young, I was really interested in like fashion. So like in middle school, even elementary, I'd play dress up with my friends, with my mom, and just like was really interested in fashion and styling. So it wasn't about like, it was maybe middle school or high school. I actually thought of the idea of I really wanted to have my own clothing store. But in middle school, I didn't really know an actual idea of like what it was going to be about, like the specific clothing, the target and stuff like that. But when I went into high school, I started to take business classes, fashion design classes, and then I started to learn more about fashion. So, but still, when I got to high school, I still didn't take that type of action of actually pursuing my dream of creating like a clothing store. But then I remember back in high school, we had a student-run fashion show. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's like the perfect thing of me to like design some clothes, have my friends model and stuff like that. So I did that for 3 years in high school. And then it was funny because I always wanted to do like fashion designing, but when I actually did it, I didn't really like it. So then I started taking more business classes in high school, and then I started to learn, oh, I actually like the business side of fashion, but I still like to style and stuff. So in actually one of my business classes in high school, it was with one of my favorite teachers, Tim Cipher, and one of our projects was to create an entire business plan for our idea, or for me, it was my clothing store. So back in high school, I think I was a junior, I thought of the idea of creating a clothing store that just catered to petite sizes. Like for me, I'm a very small person. I'm 5'1". I probably weigh about like 100 pounds, and it's very hard for me to find clothing. So I was like, I want to do something that will help me, and I know a lot of other girls have this problem also. So for that project, I did an entire business plan from like start to finish on this clothing store idea. I did that, I got a great grade on it, and then came to college and still didn't act on that idea. It was just always in the back of my head. I never knew what to do, but then just recently I started to talk to people who have done already what I have done about like actually creating clothing stores and putting those ideas into action. That's like really what it's about, because if you have an idea and you just let it sit there, like nothing's really going to happen. Like the idea that you have on your mind, it's not going to do it itself. You really need to take action on it. So that's what I've been doing, and that's what I'm like starting to do right now as being like a college student.
Well, I know how hard the fashion industry really is because I have a friend who studied out at the Fashion Institute out in New York for a semester, and she talked about how crazy that was. She was there for Fashion Week and all that crazy stuff because she was at the University of Purdue.
Yeah, it is, especially because like in the fashion industry, it is very competitive. So having an idea like this, like I've met a lot of people who want to start clothing stores and clothing businesses, but they don't do it because it's so competitive. Like especially for me, like I did an internship this last summer, and working in the clothing business, I did like an e-commerce store. So there's like so much inventory, so much back inventory that you have to deal with, so much other stuff that you have to deal with. And a lot of people, they just like step away because they don't want to put up with all of that like stuff for a business. So I mean, it really comes down to thinking about what you actually want for your idea and seeing if you can actually do it and if you're passionate about doing that.
Yeah, and then actually another thing is my girlfriend's cousin is in charge of the entire Midwest for Target for the denim line. So any jeans you guys buy from Target in the Midwest, she actually designed herself. So that's really cool too. And she always talks about how crazy tough the industry is in itself.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Some stuff about me for taking action. So I transferred schools back in my freshman year of college, which was a crazy experience in itself. Then and there, I decided that I was transferring, and I did it. A lot of kids talk about transferring, but not a lot of them take the steps to do it because they realize how hard it is to transfer. Because you got to get transcripts from your original school that you're currently at, and you have to start talking to the other school about getting your transcripts sent over there. Also, I played sports, so it was really hard to tell my football team at my old school that I was transferring out. And trying to talk to the lacrosse coach at my new school, he was kind of iffy back and forth, and I had to talk him really into letting me be a part of the team. But once I was part of the team, I decided on a bigger goal. I want to become one of the team captains. So I knew, it was kind of a 2-year plan. I knew right away my first year as a sophomore, I wouldn't be able to, just as a transfer student, they didn't really know me that well, things like that. So I was like, you know what, by junior year, I'll be captain. So I worked harder. I, learned everything I could about on-the-field actions, what to do. And by my junior year, I was able to make team captain. And right now, my senior year, I expect to be team captain again. I'm really working hard towards that goal itself. So taking actions is just a big deal, and in itself, you really need to step on it. Once you decide to do something, you just got to take a leap of faith. You got to jump on into it, and you really just got to. If it might cost you some money, it might, you might fail, but at the end of the day, you learn from that. You grew. If you failed, you really grew at the end of the day. You learned something new, and you know how to prevent it next time. And then next time you try for whatever it is you want to do, you really know how to, go into it with a better mindset and a better ability to handle that all. So.
Yeah, and that's really true because, like, especially a lot of people, they have huge goals, which is great, but, like, the minute they think of like a really big idea, it scares them. But that's like when you need to take action, because when something scares you, that means that you need to jump out your comfort zone and actually start taking action on that goal. And like for me, like for my clothing business, you need to like find someone who has already done what you want to do and then learn from them, add value to them, and then follow in their footsteps, and then you will become like what you want to do, like whatever it is. If it's like doing a clothing store, like starting a podcast, I don't know, like creating courses, like whatever it is that you want to do, like find someone who's already done it and then follow in their footsteps, because that's like the best thing that you can do is like having like a mentor or like influencer that will help you do that.
Sabah, you've already done that all. You've jumped onto it, created your course about stepping out of your comfort zone. We started the podcast together. We found somebody that's done all of this with Brandon T. Adams, and he's really helped us out and mentored us into taking the leaps of faith and just jumping into it and learning as you go. And we probably at one point will fall flat on our face, but we'll learn from that experience and we'll keep going from it, and we won't stop there.
Because it's like you don't want to look back and be like, oh, I wish I would have done that, or I wish I would have started earlier. Like that's like one thing, like looking back, like for me, if I started earlier, like I probably would have been at a different place right now. But it's like I'm glad that I even started in college rather than like starting like after I graduate or something. So it's like think about it, like legit think about it and be like, if you have an idea, why not just do it now rather than waiting like a year or 2 years? Like there really isn't ever like a right time. Like a right time is now to do it.
And as college students, we really have that buffer, that 4 years of kind of just doing whatever you want to do, like I talked about in the last episode. And you just need to just do it. If you put your mind to it, you can make it happen. You'll be successful at the end of the day. It's, a sink or swim situation. And if you keep trying, you'll learn how to swim. It's crazy just what your mind can do. If you really put your mind to things and change your mindset on how or what you want to do, you can take advantage of that whole situation and just keep pushing forward. So it's just crazy what our minds can do if we set it to it and put goals and realistic goals and take little steps at the way towards the greater picture of it all.
Right, for sure. And especially like once you do have idea, don't like keep doubting yourself about it, because like the minute you do that, it's like it starts to just like fly away from you, and then you start being like, oh, you start thinking of reasons why you can't do the idea. So really, if you think about an idea, like plant it as a seed, and then be consistent on it. So like think of it as like a plant. Like that's what I always refer it to. Like a plant, it starts with a seed, but like each day you have to like water it, you have to feed it. So like do that with your ideas, because if you don't do that, then obviously like that idea, it's not gonna grow. And it's not like if you don't take action on it. So think of it like as that way. Like don't keep pondering like your idea around. Like if you have a great idea, you know you can do it, just do it, honestly.
Yeah, talking about like planting seeds and things like that. If you want to start a business, a great way to plant seeds, start reading articles, blogs, listen to podcast shows. Those are all the little things to do so you could start gaining information and really just taking in a lot of different content so you could put that towards your business idea that you want to take advantage of. That's how I started out a couple years ago. I read entrepreneur.com and their magazine probably once a day. I try to read 3 or 4 articles a day, listen to a podcast, just taking in a lot of content in between things. When I'm working out, I try to listen to a podcast. Just always try to take in content so I know I can help myself grow in my business that I'm doing.
Right. And talking about going off of that, like while reading content, also give out content. So for me, for like looking back when I was my sophomore year, so this is last year in like May, I wanted to create my own website. So I thought I had the idea for a while. I just never really acted on it. Then like I finally took action, created that website. Then I knew I wanted to do a blog. So after that, I was like, I'm just going to do a blog. So like constantly putting out content and just like doing everything, it will like really help you in the future. So like doing blogs, that like for one, it helps me put out like my ideas, my thoughts that I have floating around in my mind. And that also helps me become a better writer. So like just doing little things like that will really help you in the future on like whatever you want to do type of thing.
Yeah, so building off that, like I also started a blog, putting out the content. I do weekly blogs on Mondays. I know Sabah does her weekly blog on Monday as well. And really, I just talk about different subjects in business because that's what really interests me. It's my passion. My passion is just all around business, learning how to do marketing, sales, the finance end of all, the accounting. People say it's boring, but I really dive in there and I try to learn every aspect of a business when I go there and, talk to the owners or something like that, or talk to a founder. I talk to kids all the time on Facebook who are starting businesses, and I ask them, 3 things. How are the finances? What's your marketing plan? And really, what services do you offer? And it's just so interesting to me, and that's what I really try to build off of.
But yeah, no, that's like awesome, just like learning off of other people, because like that helps you with like also your ideas. If like you have an idea, you can get feedback from other people and stuff like that, so then taking action.
And then building off that, to really start learning from people, Sabah and I are bringing you guys an accelerator program teamed up with Brandon T. Adams and the University of Young Entrepreneurs. In that program, we're going to teach you new Snapchat marketing techniques, Facebook techniques, and different ways to really start building your personal brand and your business from the ground up. You can find Sabah at sabahali.com, and you can find myself at danieltieman.com. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Sabah, what's some final words?
But yeah, honestly, like last couple of words, just if you have ideas, really take action on them. Don't like think about it. Don't try and find reasons on why you can't do the idea. Just honestly start now. Have idea, write it down. Start thinking of a plan that you can do it, and just do it. Tell people about it. They will help you. And yeah, just start now, honestly. Thanks, guys, for listening.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Dorm Rooms Conference Room Podcast. Remember to subscribe. If you haven't joined our accelerator program yet, you can join at livetogrind.com/college. Seats are limited, so join today.